edition of Pacemaker Magazine. I am your host, Shanice Hill. And today we are here with another great spotlight interview. Today we are with author Brie Rabb and our good friend King to talk about her new book entitled My Name is King. So, before we get into the book, Brie, please tell us about yourself. Tell us who you are and what you are about, my lady.
All right, I am a mother of 4. So I have King. He's the oldest. He has Down syndrome. He's 11 years old. And then I have a 6-year-old who's in 1st grade at the school that I work at. And then I have twin toddlers. So yes, our house is busy all the time. I am a single mom. I do have help. My mom comes and helps me, gets him off the bus, put him on the bus and make sure he gets to school. And then just takes care of the twins until, I get back from work. So I work at a charter school in the inner city Cleveland. I'm actually from the inner city of Cleveland. I lived in Ward 7 for about 14 years of my life. And then later teen years and later 20s, I was in the Glenville area.
So tell us about your educational background. Like, where did you go to college? Like, let us know about that, because I know teachers go through extensive school just to end up back in school.
Yes, because that's what it feels like every day. So I'll just say because I'm a Cleveland kid, so I graduated from East Tech, and then I went to John Carroll. So just imagine the stark distance. If anyone doesn't know about John Carroll, it's a private Jesuit college. So going from public and urban to suburban and just outright completely private, it was a total cultural shock. So I didn't quite finish on time, but I had him. And then after I did finish, it was a great achievement. So I got my bachelor's in early childhood education from John Carroll. And then I waited a couple of years, wanted to get some teaching up under my belt. And then I went back and got my master's online from Bowling Green University.
From the neighborhood, went to college, got her education, got her master's, and decided to go and to teach children and to be someone of influence and, of care to our children. And, it's much respect to teachers because y'all have it hard. Okay. Woo. So I done my little bit of education, Boys and Girls Club, just, in the inner city schools, in teaching K through 3rd, reading and math. And it was tough. It was certainly tough. So I give much respect to any teacher that I know, because you guys have the job of educating those who one day be the rulers and the people running this entire world. So definitely kudos and respect to that. So we're here today to talk about your book, My Name is King, and it just came out recently. Please tell us what inspired you as a mother and a teacher to write this book, My Name is King. And just let us know what inspired you.
Pretty much because, a lot of people don't know, but King had a late diagnosis. So he wasn't diagnosed with Down syndrome right when he was born or before he was born. I was only 22 when I had him. He had a late diagnosis because everybody was trying to figure out, because he was under the radar. Like, we were trying to figure out what was going on. And we thought it was just like a speech delay or autism. So once he ended up in the hospital for pneumonia, then we started seeing different things after his recovery. And they were like, okay, well, now he has to have heart surgery. And now, and that's actually one of the characteristics of it, having different heart defects or impairments. So after he had his heart surgery, then they were like, okay, well, we want to really figure out what's going on. So we need to figure out if it's Waardenburg syndrome or if it's Down syndrome. Mm-hmm. So pretty much Waardenburg syndrome would be the birthmarks and on the arms, the stomach and things like that. And then sight loss and hearing loss, but it would have to be like really, really detrimental. So at the time, he didn't have sight loss or hearing loss or any of that. It was just that, he had, some things going on with his ears. So he got ear tubes. So they were like, okay, we're going to test this blood. So the geneticists, they test his blood and they found out that he had the extra chromosome, which would be an indicator for Down syndrome. The extra chromosome is called...
Explain that.
So basically with Down syndrome is when a child has an extra chromosome. I think it's a copy of chromosome 21. So it's called trisomy 21. And basically what it is pretty much they have like a little cognitive delay. It's different, like on a different spectrum. Not as bad as, not as long or big of a spectrum as autism, but it is a different spectrum. So he has a mild form. That would mean, so he has some of the physical features and some of the cognitive delay, but not, to the extreme. So he has the eyes, the almond eyes, the almond shaped eyes, and they kind of slant upward a little bit. He has like an extra space, like his nose is like really, like the bridge of his nose is kind of flattened. You know how ours comes up to a peak.
Yeah.
He has an elongated tongue, so sometimes his tongue will be like, but it's a comfort thing for him, and it helps him breathe and help him sleep and stuff like that. And then pretty much everything else with him, he just looks like a normal child. So that's why it went under the radar for so long, because he wasn't exhibiting any of those signs. So we were like, okay, well, it has to be something else is going on.
Yeah. Okay. So how did this diagnosis change your life at 22 years old? So how old were you and he when he was finally diagnosed correctly?
Okay, so he was, he was about 3 going on 4. Okay. And so at the time I was about 25, 26. Yeah, I was 26. And it was my first year at my new job. And I was actually pregnant at the time, but I ended up having a miscarriage. So it was just like a lot going on at that time, because we were really, really stressed after him having, the heart surgery and stuff like that. We're trying to figure out what's going on, what had caused it and everything.
How did it change life to finally, I know there was some relief in finding out, okay, this is what we're dealing with, and it's such a mild form, but this is something that we're going to, how did his diagnosis change your life for the positive, and what struggles have come along with that, particularly being at 26 years old, taking this on, being a mom, this life-altering diagnosis?
Yeah, so pretty much it helped us to actually identify the different things that were going on, especially like with behavior and just educationally. It basically got us the jumpstart that we needed to figure out how we can put steps into place to make sure he's getting his education, getting his social end. So he was able to go through and get tested for different things educationally, and able to get his IEP. Well, at the time it was a IFSP because he was still preschool age. So he ended up getting his IEP later on, but he went to one of the specialized schools in Cleveland for disabilities. He actually rocked it out there. Then we moved to Euclid, and then they just kept, adding on and trying to, basically create the perfect path, as perfect as it can be, to help him educationally. They also give me different resources when it comes to dealing with his behavior, and that's why the book is so important, because it, like, even though they were giving me ideas, some of them, of course it's not going to work. So you have some that work and some that don't, and then we just basically went with what fits for him.
Yes.
And then in the book, it pretty much just, tackles some of those things, but in a kid's eyes, like what you would see through him.
This was a personal process. So how was that writing process for you? Was it hard? Was it emotional? What did you learn along the way about yourself, about just life? Like what did you get out of this writing?
Ooh, this writing process was a trip. I mean, it actually didn't take me long, because I was like remembering like different things and like different scenarios that happened just as him getting older, us being out and things like that. So the writing process didn't take long, but while I was writing it, I did get emotional, because it was like, basically at the end, it's like it asks, will you be my friend? Because it's been so many times where we've been on the playground and another child is just looking at him like, well, I don't want to play with you because something's wrong, something's off, you look weird or something like that. And then I've seen them whispering and just talking about him. And then just pretty much like, and it's not even all of them, like not all of them. Like you would have some kid out of the group like, hey, come on, we playing tag. Hey, come on, we doing this. Hey, come on, let's go do that. But for the most part, you would see a lot of the kids like pulling themselves back, like, okay, well, I don't want to play with him because he doesn't know how to talk. He's grunting at me, so I don't understand that. Why is this child grunting? So it did bring, you know, an emotional side out while I was writing it, because just having to reflect on all of that. Even some adults. So I've been trying to teach him like, okay, you gotta learn the signs. You gotta learn the signs. If they're looking at you a certain way, just stay away from them. And if they're being nice and open and receptive to you, then go ahead. You can hug them.
Yeah.
So
and as even has that in him to want to hug and engage with people in such a way, because reflecting of what he gets at home, he gets hugged. So when he meets people, he's going to reflect that in how he people. So that's still being.
And then it's like a part of Down syndrome kids as well. Like they are like Down syndrome in general. They just are so loving. They are so loving. They are so happy-go-lucky all the time. They are so loving. So yeah, this story was needed to get out there. Like, hey, they want to be, you know, social with you too.
Give us a good overview of what the story is about, because we definitely want to encourage the readers to go out and get themselves, and, you know, support.
Right.
Good overview of the story.
So it pretty much starts out as him being on the playground, and if you look at the first two pictures, it'll show him behind my leg, and then him peeking around my leg, and then him getting this big old smile, and then him running over the kid and trying to give the kid a hug. So that's basically like something you would actually see of him, like especially if he's in a new environment that he doesn't know, him trying to figure it out, because he has a lot of anxieties, and the story goes through that. So it starts off with him being on the playground and trying to, you know, be a friend to somebody or trying to open up to somebody. And then it goes into like different things that he encounters every day. It goes through his likes, goes through his dislikes, and it goes through like different ways to keep him calm and less anxious. It cycles back to, you know, at the end, and shows that him being friends with different kids on the playground.
So with this story, what do you hope that parents, educators, other kids take away from this story of King and the days in his life and his experiences? Hope that others get from this.
Well, for parents, I'm just hoping that they basically the premise is to just exert patience. I know, especially being in my early 20s, mid 20s, I did not have a lot of patience. So I'm like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what's going on. He's flipping out. He's stumping. He's falling out on the ground, which is called a flop. So he's exerting his behavior. I don't know how to handle this. I don't know what's going on. So hopefully this book will be, you know, somewhat of a guide to help them understand that you need patience. You need to take your time to really, really see and really, really understand their personality, because they will tell you. You just have to filter through, but they will tell you. Like King, he was showed that every time you put music on, like earlier, he would just start dancing because he loves his music. And then when they are uncomfortable with something, they will let you know. So you have to take the steps to ensure, leave out on like early, because you'll be perpetually late. Just like now, but just, you know, an uncomfortable situation.
We can be
so you got to leave out a little earlier. So like one of his fears is, you know, going into new or strange buildings. We would have to leave out really, really early. And I would have to literally be as patient as I could to try to get him into that new building. Just pretty much for parents, just exuding patience and really, really filtering through.
About other children, because he's 11 now, correct?
Yep.
Yes. So he's a kid now. He's, you know, meeting older kids. Like, what do you hope that children around him take away from the story when they read with their parents and they read their own? Because, you know, we live in a different time these days. Kindness and love can sometimes be an all-time low, depending on where our children are raised and the environments they are in.
I would love for kids to take away the fact that they are still human beings and that they have feelings too. Like I brought up the whole thing about the whispering and stuff like that. Like he saw that. Like it wasn't like they just, turned to the side and whispered. They're like, looking at each other. They're like, well, I don't know. I don't think I want to play with him. But it needs to be known that these kids and these people are, regular humans. They have emotions. They can sense what's going on just like everybody else. So just give them time. Like, just be open to them, be open and receptive, because they are very loving. They are very playful. They are very loving. They're not mean. They're not weird. They're not different. I mean, they might have some different physical characteristics, but they are not, just something
they have
scary.
Feeling and
yes,
and understanding else. They just express themselves differently.
Yes. Yep.
What words of advice or words of encouragement would you give to another parent who has a child with any special needs, Down syndrome or any other? What words of encouragement or advice do you want to give them, as far as from your experience being a mom of a child of needs for the last 11 years?
Just try to stay balanced. When they gave me his diagnosis, they were shocked. The fact that he was still, he was potty trained at almost 4. The fact that he could communicate with us, even though it was like a tapping on the leg to show what he needed or what he wanted. And they were just basically shocked that he could put his clothes on and things like that. And they were like, well, how did you do it? And I'm like, well, I treated him like he was a regular kid. I thought he was a regular kid. So parents that do have children with special needs, you can still treat them like a normal child. Like, just because they tell you they have these different disabilities don't mean you can't try, certain things. Just keep patience, stay positive, and just keep throwing new things at them, because you never know, they might knock it out of the ballpark, because a lot of things that he does, we're just like, wow, like he can search technology, can help with siblings, especially when the twins were babies. He would be on it with giving me pull-ups and wipes, and when Lily was potty training at the time, he was making sure she went to the bathroom every hour on the hour. I'm like, oh, well, all right, so they're talking about he couldn't live alone, but he's doing this, trying to help me cook. So he's huge helper. So parents with special needs, just try to keep a balance. You still have to take care of them and things like that, and you have to be easy on them, but then you also have to treat them like a regular kid. Give them something new to do. Try to keep them artistic, because that's a lot of the ways how they express their emotions too. Music, art, sports, exercise, and they love it all. So
I love it. Give them challenges and watch them rise. Well, Brie, thank you for being here with us at Pacemakers Magazine. It was wonderful to meet you and King, and we just wish you guys much success, and we look forward to more books from the series and just getting more education and learning tolerance of people with different ways of living and ways of learning. So thank you for being here. And for our audience, please go out and support Brie and King and get your book today. And we will see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.